Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our free webinar, Design Thinking Innovation, Building Products Customers Love. My name is Isma, and I'll be your host for today's session. Okay, before we begin, I'd like to do a quick audio check to ensure everyone can hear me clearly. If you can hear my voice, please type yes in the chat box. Can you guys hear me clearly? Okay, great. I see some yes responses coming in. Okay, great. Thank you for confirming. If you are having trouble with the audio, please check your device settings or let us know in the chat so we can assist you. Okay, once again, welcome everyone. We are thrilled to have you join us for this exciting webinar on design thinking innovation. Before we dive into the content, I have two main housekeeping notes to share. The first one is please keep your microphones muted during the presentation to avoid any background noise. And the second one is if you have any question during the workshop, feel free to type them in the chat box. We will have a Q&A session at the end where our speakers will address all your queries. Okay, without further ado, before we continue, I would like to take a moment to introduce you to Cyberport Academy, the esteemed academy behind today's workshop. Okay, Cyberport Academy is a business unit of MSC Cyberport Student Berhad, and at Cyberport Academy, we offer a wide range of programs and workshops that cater to various aspects of technology and corporate growth, including AI, cybersecurity, data science, digital marketing, and leadership. Okay, it is my honor to introduce our speaker for today, who has helped various companies to identify customers' pain point and their user experience. Definitely, she is an expert of user experience UX and also a design thinking coach. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our speaker for today, Dr. Chui Yin Wong. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you to Cyberport Academy. Thanks for the privilege to be invited. Before I start, I just want to test, can any one of you hear me speaking? If yes, you can either raise your, virtual hand, or you can just type yes in the chat. Ah, good, cool. Okay. So it's loud and clear, right? Okay, thank you. Hey, how I can see that we are having around 47 people here. I believe there will be, the numbers will be increasing when there are some people they are coming and joining in very soon. So I just curious, right? I guess I mean the audience here are from Malaysia. Am I right? Can you speak, or you are not allowed to speak?
Yeah, from
Um, oh, okay, yeah, because I wish to have a more interactive session so that it's not like just me myself. Okay, why I ask is because I was always the privileged to be invited, right, to share about design thinking, of course, and also user experience talk, to people around the world. So I'm just curious, thanks for Cyberport for invitations, and also of course as I train that where are the speaker coming from, because it will help me. So I guess speaking English and with some of the Malaysian, some of the local languages, with if let's say if that some scenario should not be any issues, right? I guess. Okay, is that right? Second thumbs up. Okay, I feel have a few response. Thank you very much. Okay, let me share slide, and also before this, I would like to know how many of you I just curious, right? Are you all coming? What kind of background are you all working, or some any students, or you are studying, or are you working right now? Or you can type in the chat, and where are you from and what is your role, if you are willing to share, so that I know what's your interest, right, and where you come from. Yeah. I mean, you can type, what is you're working, or if you're working, what's your role? Is in company. If you're not working, also okay. If you're studying, is it are you a student? And then which university you are. Okay, Marilyn say is working. Okay, and anyone? What about others? Right. Yes means okay. What about others? Or maybe you're quite shy at the moment, right? Never mind, it's all right. So is there someone want to speak something? No? Okay, never mind, it's all right. Okay, let me share. Can you see my share screen? Yes? Can you have a raise your hand, or not raise a thumbs up in the chat? Not in the chat, in the meeting. Okay, good. Hey, great. How many of you have heard about, or have heard about design thinking? If yes, you can raise a virtual hand. Quite numbers, right? Yeah, I can see that quite numbers. So you heard about design thinking. So how many of you are practicing design thinking or implementing design thinking in your company? I assume all of you are working, right? Because I didn't hear any response. How many of you actually are implementing design thinking in your company? Anyone? Because I see some virtual hand means quite numbers of you, or it was the previous one. So we have Amanda, we have one last one. Is that you implementing or doing or practicing design thinking? Is that right? Are you allowed or unmute, or am I?
Dia dah setuju, betul dia bawa KME tu bawa IME. Saya bentang itu KME, dan dia orang dah setuju lah.
Sorry, there was some discussion about other things, right? Okay, okay, I'm not so quite sure is that you're all allowed to speak. If you can, I think you can unmute. If not, then it's all right, right? So today I'm coming to share in just a 1.5 hours, to talk about design thinking. It can be also extended to a bit 2 hours, right? So what I'm trying to share with you all is how I use design thinking and plus my profession in user experience design, the how I combine and work together with my product team, and how would that help the impact, right, the process. And also, I think I would like to share a little more on the real case study around the world, how that design thinking changed life for people, right? So that's very important. So today, I'm very honored to share about design thinking practice and for innovations and building products customers like. Okay, let me just go through the next one. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me share a little bit about me myself. Um, I would say I come into this field by calling. Why I say this, right? Because 20 years back, I was a very frustrated user. What does it mean by frustrated user? Let me share a bit, my experience, right? When I was doing my final year project, I was it's only have a week ago to submit my thesis. And then I type very long. Those days, all the old PC, Pentium based, those kind of things. And type very long Word document and all those. Then suddenly, what happened to it is my whole PC crashed. Oh, so I also crashed, right? I say, I only have 1 week to submit my thesis. What happened if I don't submit my thesis? What will happen is I couldn't graduate on time, and I have the 1 year. What could I do? And all those things, and my anxiety raised. When I started feel that, oh, what can I do? So first thing first is I couldn't do anything. So I knock at people's door. I ask for help. I seek for help. Luckily, I have a Samaritan with me. I have a senior. I said, can you please help me? I have only 1 week to submit my thesis and print out all those things. But my whole, my CPU crash and all those things. So what I did is, I was lucky, and I had a senior. He carried my whole CPU to his computer lab, and then he just fix. I don't know. Then what he come back to me, he say, Chui Yin, I'm sorry, I couldn't save your, all your work, but I can only help you to press a button that you at least you still turn on the light. I said, okay. So because your things crash, so your software crash, everything crash, right? Okay, fine. Okay, so I told myself, and that time I still very conventional. I did print out my draft. So always remember, right? So one of the biggest lessons I love, even until right now, even though everything is digitalized, we really need to keep some of the things are hard copy, right? Because so many things that can go haywire. So the draft was not 100% as what the latest one, but luckily I have a typing skill. I quickly finished typing it in 1 or 2 days for 100 over to 150 pages long. That was very, very long. And I managed to submit it on time, and I graduate with first class honor. But it's not because I graduated first class and I felt that I was, how to put it this way, I was happy and honored. But that experience of anxiety struck me, right? Calling me, I say, why I have to, gone through this process. The experience was really not nice. So I have a very strange kind of calling. I said, if one day, if I'm in a position, what I would like to do is I would like to design a product or solutions that give people life happy. So it's including me myself, right? So, but I have no idea what is that to do. So I just go through, and one day, and when it's my beginning of the work, then I come across a word called usability. I believe some of you may have heard about it. So what does it mean? Which mean in a marketing term, in user friendly. So how to make products, right, to be user friendly or usable, right? So that struck me. I said, okay, wow, I love the definitions of this. So I delved into it, but I know that I didn't have the formal training. So I went to so my first degree is in media studies, right? I said nothing to do with in IT and those. But then I went to further study in IT. But I wanted to went to that time. I went to the UK, and at first I said I want to specialize in to understand about usability. So I specialized in human factors. So that was the area of professions that there's that time, in UK, even right now, also they have this profession. So that's how I get a formal training for myself, that I conduct usability testing. I was very excited dealing with users, and then how would that I work with the e-commerce website, the company, and at the same time, And the company is called Prezi Box, was 20, I think easily 15 years back or 15 years back, but now it's still in UK, are still, alive, right? I was still, wow, they still persist right now and still sustain their business. And it is one of the quite long sustainable e-commerce website. So and one of the things that I find it, of course, I learned a lot through things, and apart from getting my master and also working with industrial, and I find something is, hey, I from the work I do, you know, I I make the company, they buy in they get ideas, right? How to improve their website overall, because at time the checkout buttons was terrible. Nobody really wanted to check out because of the overall design and all those things. So throughout the whole sessions, I said, okay, so I improve, and along the way, I work in university, I work in industry, and now, of course, I work in industry, and I work in the Lookbook Lab, in the US company that work on SaaS company that work on luxury products, right? So I'm driving UX strategy, how to improve and work together with my product team to make sure the product itself is, usable and accessible. But along the way, what are the method I use is called design thinking. So how do I get across design thinking? Because I want to highlight one thing is design thinking was rebranding or repackaged, right? But the fundamental is a user-centered design. How to make sure that we design product that make people happy or user-centered, or you can say human-centered and all those. So along the way, I would like to share a bit more about what is design thinking is about. So in 2017, so I have a chance that actually I have the exposures, right? The training from Stanford University. They thought I explain why I say mention Stanford University from US. They came because they are the mastermind that how they promote and advocate design thinking to the worldwide. And I will talk about the chronology, how design thinking come in place, but why I say derive from my background and then my interest to user-centered design, and user experience that come, and how the design thinking to be rebranding and repackage and then make the whole worldwide, even the organizations and all those things, they buy in, especially from leadership to the top down. You can see a lot of big success. Even me myself, when I work in Intel, and I also work with a lot of my colleagues that with different stakeholders to implement design thinking, and or even I can say UX strategy. It's just that the way of how we pick up which part of the phases and method that we use. So in general, I would say I'm a UX consultant and also a design thinking practitioner and the trainer that work with different companies and also in university as well. So I always have this strong belief is to bridge between the users and all the user needs and integrate the requirements in part and using user-centered design process, which is called the design thinking, as one of those methods that to create a better user-friendly solution. Okay, that's how I come to design thinking. And let me share a little bit quickly. That's what I'm going to cover for today's the 1 hour sessions. Okay, how many of you I believe all of you are working for your company. So we always have these issues, right? So we have thought about that. A lot of people say, hey, we want to make product success. But why not we make it another reverse way, asking one question of why product fails? Can anyone share why product fails before even it go out to the market? Why? We can have a lot of ideas. Why? Can anyone share? You can turn on your mic, you can chat and type in chat. I would love to hear from you. I see the hand raising. Is that from you raising your hand, or is that can anyone? But why people fail? Why product fail? Brandless. Yes, you're right. I decided to come here learn more.
Hi, everyone.
Okay. Yes, hi.
Hi, I would like to share. My name is Farhan. I'm from Big Tech Siam Berhad. Location is Gambut, KL, Kuala Lumpur. So one of my experience before why one of my product fails is because there's too much changes or too much iteration that happen in the short amount of time, because there's so many people have so many ideas, but what we forgot is about the execution. We have an idea, but we have an execution, but it must the execution must actually follow the plan first. I think there should not be too much changes that happen in a short amount of time.
I agree you. Sometimes too much changes, and then the developments and all the team, the stakeholders don't have time to implement even if you say the sequences, if you are doing implement a spring and all those. So Farhan, may I understand what's your role that in your company?
I am a technical product manager.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that. So do you implement Agile or any other method that you apply or waterfall in your company?
We do a little bit of both agile and waterfall because I used to work in a startup.
In a startup. Okay. Okay, I understand. Startup is allowed for a lot of changes. There
That's
was a yeah, that was good also, right? Because it just that if you have a you are the technical lead. So do you have a product manager?
Yes, we do, but
Okay.
there's also, I would say, acting product manager. There's so many of them at the time lah.
Okay, that was a bit tough.
Officially one, but I would say there are a lot of other voices that also wants to make changes on the product.
Okay, so there was no one I wouldn't say one authority lah. One
On
where
paper,
everybody
on
yeah.
paper, yes, but in the reality, there's so many people.
Yeah, I understand that because you are technical lead, so you have to jaga, which mean your level of effort, I would say, which mean your time and resources to make things, but at the same time, maybe the other stakeholders, their value are different. They want business value, maybe UX team if you have, they want a customer value. So there was some kind of like, should you go in? So that kind of consensus, right? So it has, yeah, you need to have a champion. So which means it's like Scrum Master, if you have, that will come to a beginning that especially in a startup company, everybody agree on, okay, let's look at certain things, at least to some certain features, MVP that can, to push it to the market. But I think this is at the usually it's a management level lah, that you must have some kind of consensus, right? So and any others that want to share why product fails? Anyone? Thanks for sharing, Fahan. It's a good, very good. I believe there's a lot more lah. Okay. Yeah. Any more? I can see a lot of virtual hand. Sorry, I cannot. I'm not so sure you're asking questions or you are. So if you're not asking, maybe you can just put down your virtual hand so that I can know actually you are. Okay, that's great. Okay, let's look at why product fails. There are many, many, many reasons. Farhan mentions one of the things is about management, right? Leadership, the kind of coordinations and all those things. A lot of things had the consensus. Let's look at this. Okay, so we have about okay. So Leighton, who from Cyberport or coordinator, you just let me know in case I cannot see because I have to see my slide. Okay, let's look at this. If there are many reasons why the product fails, right? So one of these is lack of value proposition. That's very important. A lot of time, if with the value propositions has not been identified, had not been reached a consensus among especially the leaders, you do not know what you're designing for. So I'm not quite sure, like some company, right? Okay, today we are going to do this. Tomorrow we're going to do this. And then we change. Is one of these things is because the value propositions has not been highlighted. Even you must have a champion that you say, okay, let's look at this and, push it to the market, at least to have the MVP to some certain extent. Can we work on it or not for every stakeholders? Okay. Lack of innovation is one of the examples that everybody know, like Nokia, right? Nokia used to be like 20 years ago was a top notch in the mobile devices, right? And in the feature phone. What happened when the Apple came in and then innovate, use all the smartphone? There was, blow everybody mind. But to be honest, the big brother like Nokia or Motorola supposed to be catch up, right? But they miss out, right? The innovations, especially the change the whole entire landscape for the smartphone. We call it now smartphone. So there's lack of innovation. So they back to their own industry, their own nature of the business. They are in the Finland, right? Nokia in their wood and all those things. So they still focus, but the only thing is they are no longer one of the top big brothers, in the smartphone. So, and of course, these connections from customer needs is very important. And to be honest, a lot of time we, how should I put it this way? A lot of time we do not know what the users want. So when it comes to product team, they say, okay, today we change this. We want to focus on these features. We want to on this, that. We want to change all those things. And because we do not know what the customers in the market really want, right? Especially if you have done a proper user research on all those, then we driven by that, because sometimes is we at this time, this era, what does the customer want? Some of the innovation you can do it 10 years ahead, but unless you have a very strong cash flow, you are allowed to do that. Usually a company, big company, right, like Microsoft or even Intel, the big company, what they do is, when I was in Intel, we depends on which unit, that business unit you are working in. There are unit that, okay, we are working on solving the current, the issues that we want. But there is also when there are enough resources, right? And also there are certain kind of maturity level even in the tech, in the software, or even in the UX team, right? So they will have another allocate business unit looking for the future next 10 years, next 10 years, 20 years, what will be the business opportunity will be. That will allocate the resources for that. So then they will have to study what are those things. But it depends in where the status of the company and where the innovations status are and what are the resources required. And of course, there are a lot of times, another one is overwhelmed product features. We say we want, I remember one of these things was also the company that I was used to do, I was engaged to do a UX consulting, and it is about condo management app, right? So, in condo, Malaysian, we have a lot of condos, but the problem is they, not any condo, they have this management system for the tenants or even for the owner, that they how to do this. So the company see that they got the funding as well from the government, so they develop this. But then when I was coming in and I will do the UX consulting work, they say, oh, what happened is, they want every single features, everything thinks is fine and all those things. At the end, when I conduct usability testings and I go through the process with them, with the stakeholders, I just show the video and I show, I'm sorry, it's not that they want every single thing. They gone through the frustration is they don't know what is it about, and I don't know what is or why you give you so many of all those, right? So at the end, I don't need to say much. And then the developers, they say, okay, I got it. And then they know, then they have to align with what the customers wants, what the users want. Then they come back and say, okay, when was the best time that you have those product listing, that where are the features, that where will the best that we can address what the users want, right? And that's where not every time all in one it is good, right? Swiss Army arm, right? That. So especially ignoring user feedback was the number one. Sometimes seriously, how you drive that. If you understand what the users want, it's easier that sometimes of course you have to be backed by data driven figures and also the facts. That is easier, for the stakeholders, for you all to make a decision on it. Okay. And of course, there's no testing, ineffective leadership, and this kind of things is how will you, when all the product team, you make a consensus, right? How do you actually have the leaders? There must be a champion that own, this, and make sure that everybody come to it. And then how will you make a trade-off in between each of it? And then you at least to have some, if you're a startup, then you must have an MVP to push it to go to the market strategy. How would that was a timeline to work on this and all those, at least to see some whether it works or not. If not, then you test it out in the market, then you come back into changes rather than internally you get it's good to do a changes before, to at least you must still have some kind of testing, but rather than you not. But sometimes too much changes, like what Farhan was sharing, there must be a trade-off lah in between the effective of the timeline and also the collaborations, right? So they come together with resources, communications, and some of those, even the legal and regulatory issues, right? We know now about, especially China and also US trade war, right? So those kind of things, right? If you want to implement some of those, you have to think about it. Would that involve those kind of issues, right? Even you go to Europe, you have to study, their act and all those things. And of course, there are a lot of poor, user experience I mentioned, and poor design and competitions around that. If we know are those competitors is coming, and there's a lot of stealth competitors. What does it mean? There are a lot of just like like I said, startup and all those things, they are not known yet, right? Just like ChatGPT, right? So the company itself, but they already been working on it. Once it's boom, everybody will start to like, they having a mess. So they are actually around there. It's just that, do we smell it? Do we know about that, the assistant, right? Even before they come to it, are we doing something similar like them, even though they are not known right now? But in the next 1 or 2 years or 5 years, they will be, right? So we have to, get to the ground that as well, right? And of course, display channels, especially you're in e-commerce and, and any of those, even in the supply chains and all those. Pricing is also, and of course, technical issues have to be solved if your resources and culture insensitivity. Like if you are pushing out for the products for Middle East culture, right? Or even to Europe and all those, we have to be sensitive, to the culture. Is it really aligned with them? So those are a lot of reasons, right? So come we talk about it is, everybody know about Harvard Business Review, right? Is a very famous a business management magazine, but it was been acknowledged by the leaders around the world. So they mentioned that even the evolution of design thinking is what is so important for the company to integrate design thinking in their product innovation business solutions. Okay, let's look at this, the branding here, right? All this branding, everybody know about this, right? It doesn't matter whether it's Google, IBM, Intel, Roche, and all those things, and a lot more. Even not just say the big five or all those tech company, even like Indian small company or even in insurance company, in finance, all those they implement. Especially right now in Malaysia, to be honest, if you, I'm not so sure how many of you are coming from fintech or from banking industry. If you look at it, right, that's a trend in now. I would say most of the bank right now in Malaysia, they are looking for UX designer. They are looking for that. Some of this even you require using a design thinking in the process, right? Of this. So those are the things that, of course, Malaysia, we don't have a big giant like we say like Google, right, all those, like we come to Malaysia to do R&D, right? I'm talking R&D, yeah. I'm not talking about sales and marketing, all those. So, but all the finance, fintech, definitely they are, looking into this, in implementing with the design thinking as part of that process. So, what is the design thinking? Okay, basically, it's a design methodology, right? That's used for problem solving and innovation using the human-centric approach. So from here, you can see already what does it mean. At the end of the day, is we want to solve the problems. And for product innovations or any innovation, not necessarily must be product. It can be, some people I remember I come across people say, can we HR you use designing? Oh yes, of course, right? If you are working anything, you want to innovate the process, your workflow, even in the banking industry, right? What is it stuck here? So how can we come together, right, to innovate and do the changes? Not necessarily might come up prototype. The prototype not necessarily must be something is technical. It can be even in the process flow, in the workflow. How can we improve better, right? So that's what we call by innovation. And human-centric approach, it can use any other term, like say user-centered design, anything related to users, right? Or customer-centric approach, anything, right? So it's just a name itself, but you can see along the way is how we want to highlight is that you use design thinking for problem solving and innovation, right? Using the human-centered approach. So let's look at the timeline right now. Very interesting, right? You can see here, it was started even 1960. So how many years ago? 46, 50 years before, right? So it was started by Christopher Alexander. I'm not quite sure anyone heard about his name, but he's an architect, the building architect. He, in his book, he said, in a pattern language, what he started is he emphasized user needs in the context of design. He already said the highlight, hey, we need to understand what are the needs of users, right? When we come to the design, even in the building itself. So that was in 1960, and he tried to make the design scientific. So in 1960, there was this term called wicked problem was coined, especially in participatory design by Irritel and Rebel. And participatory design was very popular, especially in Europe. And what does it mean is you invite the participant together to co-design, to co-create the design together. Because a lot of time in the software company, tech companies, we design is a product team itself. We never involve the targeted users that come as part of the product design process. So that was missing. A lot of times is we hypothetical guessing write what the user should be, and then we do a testing. But why not? They are part of it to involve and design. So one of these things I really like is, for example, one of the UX consulting work I work with is they are doing on the treasury enterprise system. So because they involve banker, the banker is a back end, not just a front end. So they, because a tech company, right? So what they do is they have banker and all those as part of the subject matter expert because they know themselves the workflow. So they are part of this process that they'll tell you, hey, how it should be worked, what we require, why we get started. If we wanted to redesign, to redevelop, the enterprise system, then we have to hear the voices from us. So we use participatory design part of this, right, for this. So in 1960s, that was restarted. So when it moved to 1970s, right, so then the principles of design thinking started to emerge. There was where there's a design methods movement. In 1980s, there's very solution-focused problem solving was observed. So it's not like we want to solve issues. It's like more like we want to solve the issues. How can we solve it? And what are the best way that we can solve? So you can see starting right in 1987, that's where design thinking was compared to architecture because remember originally Alexander, then he talked about this in pattern language in the user needs in the context of design. Even this also can be applied in the software, especially in programming and all those things, right? Of course, there's a different kind of pattern language, right? So in 1990, okay, I want to highlight here right now. And IDEO, how many of you have heard about IDEO? It's a very famous US, the design agency. That's where they start to design, the Apple mouse, right? All those like even Palm, the PDA and all those days, and they become so innovative. Everybody was, everybody was open their minds. Wow, what's happening right now? So one of the founder called David Kelly. So he said that he emphasized on empathy, prototype, iterations for problem solving, and product innovation. So he has formed a lot of success, right, during in his company called IDEO. So what he thinks, how can design thinking? Because when in Silicon Valley, right, when you have a lot of things are becoming successful, right? So people started to say, oh, how can we emulate it? How can we learn from it, right? It become popular and it helps so many company like Apple, Palm, Microsoft those days, right? So become popular. They want what are the secret behind? Okay, so what David Kelly was doing is in that time it hasn't been bring into more mass, but it's mainly is in US, especially in a lot of Silicon Valley, a lot of startup and all those are now of course become very branded. All the brands are company, right? So in 1982, Richard Buchanan published his article talk wicked problems in design thinking. So people started to refer to it and all those. And the most important one I highlight in 2004. David Kelly founded the D School. D School means is what? Design school. That is where it's located at the Stanford University, not Standard, sorry, is my typo error. I just highlight. Stanford University, Hasso-Plattner Institute of Design. That's where I say in 2017, I have the training that where for the master trainer, they come to Malaysia, right? That time was a TM. Then we worked together and then we had this training from them. That was like, oh, okay, that was interesting. It's a very hands-on, active kind of like workshop and all those. So they have used this implement in a lot of organizations, not just for product itself, but even for management, leadership. That's how even Harvard Business Review, they started to document or features why design thinking are successful, right? So imagine when we talk about Harvard Reverse Review, so what does it mean? Which means the management level, leadership management, see the success and buy in. There must be a process with it, right? So whenever this is involved, that's how design thinking become popular. And in 2000, that's where the popularity, like I mentioned, in business, in education, in anyone, right? So it doesn't matter from IBM, those MNC, even the startup like Airbnb, all those as well. So we talk about Stanford, right? So the design thinking, what they do is they make it into 5 phases, right? I believe most of you or some of you already come across this. So the first thing is empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So all those process are iterate. So we talk about empathize, right? So what does it mean by? Which mean in general, empathize means we put the head on ourselves on the user's shoes, right? So we must understand what the users their frustrations, their pain point. Just like I share with you my origin, my anxiety, right? Gone through, I couldn't submit my thesis, and then the frustrations and all those. I say, why can't I have a solutions that time? They give me a reminder or tell me what is going to happen. You see, I already start to have, if you listen carefully, you say what my needs are. Then I don't need to go through this. Same thing is a lot of time, even right now, right? We also have gone through sometimes our system not working, but why can't they have any alarming telling us rather than suddenly things go haywire? So the needs are, is there any solution out there? I'm not quite sure. Maybe they are not. I'm not quite sure. So we want to highlight is the empathize, right? So even though you are designing for any of the ideas, hey, that is good. So we want to hear from the users. If you know who are you designing for, then we want to know what are their concern, what do they want. Sometimes they don't even tell you what they want seriously, but we have to listen to them, understand them from their point of view. So there are many methods that we can do, right? Interview, shadowing, we seek to understand with no judgmental. And this is sometimes is easy to say, but actually is not easy to do because we have come from our belief system, we are cultural, exposure. We think that should not be like this, right? So we have interesting that I gone through a lot of these things that people say, oh yeah, I know. But when you come to the groundwork, you do the work, you understand. Oh, do we come to this and can we accept what the people just listening? Then we come back and those are the data. And how we come to define is then what are those group of the users that we come together, we synthesize those data, and we make it into a user persona, right? User persona means it's not represent a one person, but it represent a group of the similar person with the same kind of behavior. They share some kind of goal, and then they have same kind of profile. Then we make it as a fictitious kind of a persona. And then from there, what would they like, the channels, the frustrations, the pain point, and then what is their needs and all those things. Then we gather all the stakeholders from product team. Then we want to say that, okay, we view it today. I remember one of these things that we say, hey, we want to design for during the COVID that time, say, oh, what can we do, for COVID-19, right? Everybody was stuck at home. They say, okay, then we because I do an online workshop, right? So they say, okay, we want to design for Pak Saleh, right? That those day our ex Prime Minister Pak Saleh, those name and all those things coming out. I said, well, design Pak Saleh. So what the Pak Saleh want? Then all the stakeholders said, oh no, Pak Saleh want this. He doesn't know anything about IT, right? But he suddenly had to do business online. So how? So what can we want to produce something. What can we design for Pak Saleh? So we're no longer, when it come to a team, product team, they all consensus to say we are designing for the name A, B, and C. For example, at Pak Saleh, you are already integrated that where you put yourself, the persona, say every team say, hey, we designing. No, we are not designing because of the features. We're designing these features because of Pak Saleh needs it. So that was slightly different because it's backed by the data and we understand what the users want coming from that point of view, for example. Let's continue. So I mean, just give you examples, right? So once you have that idea, you do the idea just we start to share ideas, not like each of these stakeholder, okay, our idea is the best, you have to implement, and the other no, but we come to a I hear some small noise. Is there anything? No, right? Okay. Okay, let me continue. Okay. So when you come to, okay, so then you share ideas, everybody, you start to diverge or converge, and then you start to prioritize the features. I think one of these things that is how there's so many lists of features we want, right? But features prioritization is the number one, especially you come to product development, because you can never do a lot of things in such a short period of time. But what are the best or the feature prioritization? There's a way of doing it, right? So then from there, then you start working on your prototype. And then what would the best thing is you can iterate quickly, get feel at least rather than you get some feedback and then go testing, and then you come back with it and then you put on, look at the features prioritizations, then what can we do the best and then to do align, with the user needs and also the business goal, then you go again before you go out to the market, right? So that is where, but of course, the whole process is not straightforward. Not necessarily, it's not a linear process. It's iterative, like I mentioned. You get feedback. You maybe something that you can always come to this. It's not what the user wants. You can always jump here. And sometimes you say, some of the companies say, do I need to start from here? Not necessarily. It depends on where your company status is and what are the product that you are working on, and where it should sometimes can become from this side and this. Okay, but today I'm not going to delve into that much, because this one needs some kind of more discussions about this kind of scenario, right? So, but the key elements I want to highlight is user-centric approach, because the decisions was the data was made by data driven, right? Because we go to the ground world, we understand the users, we understand the pain point, we know what they need. Maybe sometimes we know, we do not know, but when we have a group of, we done our groundwork, then we come to start to see the patterns, right? When you present to the stakeholders, right, in the product team, people will listen, because it's not I assume like this, I think this feature will be good, but it's not coming. We designing, for example, for the persona. This one, the persona is backed by the data. It's not we come up or very nice, user persona board, put a picture there. No, those data is come from empathize. That's where we do a user research work. Then you will be everybody. Okay, yeah, we understand that how we come to this, right? So iterative process means you iterate when you have the prioritize the features, what you want, you do the testing to get out it, then you get the feedback, right? A quick feedback, for example, while you're still doing the process, then you say, is there something that we need to highlight or improve or check away or keep aside, or we need to continue from further and others? Of course, very important, we want to have cross-functional collaborations, because at the end of the day, we seriously, any products you want to go to the market, right? Even though you are MVP or you're at different levels of your products, it cannot work without different functional team members. We need developers, we need the UX team, we need design team, we need engineering team, we need even writers team, we need marketing team, business team, a lot of all those things that come together, seriously. So nobody say is a champion that I'm the best, right, for the team. No, actually, it is like when we have the consensus among ownership, I would say ownership and consensus among different stakeholders, you'll find that everybody can work together and accommodate each other. The timeline, the release, and then you can make sure you have the one directions to, okay, let's go to, you have the go-to-market strategy. That's where the timeline we want to at least to see something that push the market, right? And then of course, important is empathy and understand. Then you have the innovation and creativity. So, and those are some of those things, examples. I'm not going to go through all, but some of those methods, if let's say I conduct, the workshop, for design thinking, those are things we use a real case study, right? Everybody, the team, they go through, and some of the methods that we use, we practice it and see how things work. And those are just examples of this. Go through the design thinking process and what are those method will be used, which I already roughly mentioned in the process. So let's share a little bit on design thinking success story and what around the world. And this is a true story. Okay, I'm going to share the video. Please let me know if you can't hear the sound. Okay, let me just. Okay, let's start right now.
We went to IDEO.
Can you hear?
Product is
Okay, can you hear? Is it too soft or how? Can I try one more time? Okay, because I can't see the slide. I can't see your what do you call? So let me know if you can't hear. Okay, let me just adjust about the sound a little bit. Okay, let's try one more time. So
design folk and said, take something old and familiar, like say the shopping cart, and completely redesign it for us in just 5 days. ABC News correspondent Jack Smith tells us what happened next.
9 in the morning, day one, and these people have a deadline to meet.
So welcome to the kickoff of the shopping cart project.
This is Palo Alto, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley, and these are designers at IDEO, probably the most influential product development firm in the world. Safety emerges early as an important issue.
22,000 child injuries a year, which is, and so they're hospitalized injuries. I mean, there are many others.
And theft. It turns out a lot of carts are stolen. As the team works, it becomes clear there are no titles here, no permanent assignments.
And the other side says, gives us a lot of help, says, be safe. I'll give you a big red ball on a post, and that says you're a big guy. If you got a ball, you're a senior vice president. You know, what do I care? The desk, the red ball, it's all the same. It's not possible.
The team splits into groups to find out firsthand what the people who use, make, and repair shopping carts really think.
Okay, go.
The problem with the plastic cart is the wind catches it. Yeah. And these things have been clocked at 35 across the parking lot.
Oh, man, that's actually a pretty good point.
3:30 in the afternoon, and the group is back at IDEO. There is no let-up.
Each team is going to demonstrate and communicate and share everything that they've learned today.
A shopping cart has been clocked at 35 miles an hour traveling through a parking lot in the wind.
We were in the store, what, 2 hours, and it was truly frightening just to see the kind of stuff going on.
You got to designate some people to make damn sure that the store owner's point of view is represented.
After 9 straight hours, the team is tired. They call it a day.
So,
everybody cool?
Well, that's great. Thanks a lot. We had a great time today.
IDEO's mantra for innovation is written everywhere. One conversation at a time. Stay focused. Encourage wild ideas. Defer judgment. Build on the ideas of others. The ideas pour out and are posted on the walls.
Oh, the blind, the privacy blind. Like when you're buying 6 cases of condoms, no one sees. If it doesn't nest, we don't have a solution.
Organized chaos. It's not organized. What it is it's focused chaos.
Vote with your Post-it, not with an idea that's cool, but with an idea that's cool and buildable. If it's too far out there and it can't be built in a day, then I don't think we should vote on it. Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of lone genius.
Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of the lone genius. If anything sums up IDEO's approach, that is it.
If you don't work under time constraints, you could never get anything done because it's a messy process and go on forever.
Back at the shop, it is 6 o'clock, and the 4 mock-ups are ready for showing.
Baskets also can be, if you think you will have more volume, baskets can be put in.
A modular shopping cart you pile hand baskets onto. A high-tech cart that gets you through the traffic jam at checkout.
That you could mount a scanner on the shopping cart so that you as the customer, as you pull it off the shelf, would scan each item.
One that's built around child safety, and another that lets shoppers talk to the supermarket staff remotely.
Yeah, where can I find the yogurt?
But the adults, again, decide more work needs to be done before the mock-ups can be combined into one last prototype.
There it is! There it is! So we took the best elements out of each prototype.
The cart, which is designed to cost about the same as today's carts, is different in every other way.
What do you think?
Well, I'm very proud of the team. I think it's great.
Does this work for you?
Works for me great. It's also beautiful.
The cart's wheels turn 90 degrees so it can move sideways. No more lifting up the rear in a tight spot. And you shop in a totally different way. The bags are hung on hooks on the cart's frame. Remember, there is no basket here.
At first, I was a little shocked, but I think you have some fantastic ideas here. It needs a little refining, but I think that it's great. I mean, we would want them.
She also gave us some really good comments about how we can make this thing better.
A lot of hours. Also, an open mind, a boss who demands fresh ideas be quirky and clash with his, a belief that chaos can be constructive, and teamwork. A great deal of teamwork. And these are the recipe for how innovation takes place. This is Jack Smith for Nightline in Palo Alto, California.
Okay, so how many have watched this video before by IDEO shopping cart? This is a really classic, especially we talk about IDEO and then design thinking. How many of you have watched this before? Anyone? Is it no? I guess no, right? So what do you think? after you watch, do you know that guy that was the old, not old lah? Oh, Leong has watched it before. Very good. Okay, so you know the man was a bit mustache. There was a 20 years ago David Kelly. He's the founder, right? Co-founder of IDEO. Yeah, you want to share something? Yeah. So what do you think of this? The video, the story about this IDEO implementing the shopping cart. Anyone? Anyone? No? So if you look at it, right, you will notice one thing is, see, because of, imagine 20, I won't say 20 years, 1990s, right? So 20, 30 years back. So IDEO is already started using this. So what they do is, you see, they have the different stakeholders, right? Even the psychologists, the child psychologists, and all those, they have the psychologists and then the safety, and they re-innovate, right, the shopping cart. In Malaysia, do we have such shopping cart? Anyone? Is there any shopping cart like this? Anyone? You know what's the closer shopping cart we have? Usually we have just a trolley, right? Just a traditional one. It's true, it's very bulky, and sometimes you accidentally you bang on other people and all those. But the other one was like the one they redesigned was modular, and then they based on the observations, you know, go to the shopping and how those people like it to be, and even carry the kids and all those things, the baby, and then they want to hang on the you know, the plastic and all those things. So I think the closer for us, like Mr. DIY. How many, I believe all of you been to Mr. DIY, right? So now the only closer to me I can recall is we have the two-tiered, and then you put a basket, you know, on those. Is that right? Have you been using that? Do you remember that, the Mr. DIY? Anyone? Have you been to Mr. DIY?
Yes, yes.
Yes, right. So is that something like
almost same?
Yeah, is it something like this? The shopping a bit closer, right? Yeah.
Yes, but can detect the price.
Can be what? The price? Can be tag the price, is it?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
because in the previous video, I think they can detect the price, right?
Yeah, yeah. This one we don't have like detect the price lah. Not yet lah. We haven't come to this, right? So it's just that our basket it can be modular, but this one they can detect the price. So imagine if let's say you know, they want a self check. I'm not so sure in Malaysia we allow because we have a lot of vandalism. So we have to consider our cultural context. If you have the device and it can detect the price, is okay. If you check out for self checkout using that, not maybe advisable lah. But you can think about, you know, that was also quite interesting. So imagine those kind of innovations already 20 years back, but we haven't come to, we are in progress lah. I would say we do have, but maybe it's more localized, you know, needs with what we have, right? So it's interesting. You can start to see what are the things happening. Let's look at another one which I really, really love. You know, the next one. Okay.
IDEO.
No, wait now.
We went.
Okay. So, okay, I want to share another story about GE Healthcare, the MRI. So, which means it's a magnetic resonance imaging device. Okay, how many of you have experienced going to MRI tunnel? You know, the scanning, like this like what you can see on the right one. How many of you have experienced that? Or even not you yourself or your family members or your relatives or Leong, you have experienced it, okay? So Leong, I would like to hear from you. How was the experience? Or it can be you yourself or your family member. Do you know? I would love to hear from you. How's the experience of using an MRI?
Really quite bad lah. If you are inside is very cool, then you will be very nervous and very noisy. It will make you like dizzying. Your head will be like spinning, or you will feel not confident.
So is it you yourself experience or your family member?
Yeah, myself experienced it before.
Okay, thanks Leong for experience, right? So I just want to share, I myself experienced it before. Okay, so so I experienced that one, it was really not nice. Okay, I was in ICU emergency after my pregnancy delivery, right? So those kind of things you can't help, you couldn't help. So I've gone through a lot, all those things, and just like what Leon shared, is imagine you have to go. We can see that we always see maybe in the movie you not experience or you see it in the hospital and all those things. But when you personally experience it, right, you have to go through the very dark tunnel. And I remember one of those feedback I get is like machine gun. You imagine those kind of tunnel you go through, right? So dark, and they say, please, can I quickly get off with this faster? I just want to finish it and all done and get it done. Okay, so the kind of feeling is anxiety, especially people that we're going through this because you require to do magnetic resonance imaging to scan the whole body. We ourselves is already a patient, right? To some extent, I would say that. So that feeling is already add on, the stress feeling, unpleasant feeling is already stress on. So imagine if we adult feeling like this, what happens if the patients are children? It can be our children, right? It can be any of family members' children, right? So or it can be anyone that children that. So what happened is though that is a industrial designer that for GE Healthcare, when he witnessed a girl crying on an imaging scanner, evoke his emotion. He said the room itself is it's kind of dark and has those flickering fluorescence light. That's correct, right? So he felt very bad because he's the one designing like the Siemens, the MRI scanner. So he started to ask one question to himself. He said, how could one create a scanner experience that children would love? You see, this is $1 million question that spark ideas. A lot of time, how does innovation come from? Come from we ourselves. We feel the users. We feel if we ourselves are the users. Okay, how can we have a better experience? Now he asked the questions was how can we create a scanner experience that you children would love? So what he did is he had no idea. So that time, design school, it was based, it was very famous. He went to the design school, like I mentioned, right, the Stanford, and apply design thinking approach that he empathized what the children, and of course, just have to involve the child specialist, and he produced a totally changed, a fun and pleasant imaging experience. So let's look at the video, right? Let's hear from the video what he shared about this.
Hi, I'm Doug Dietz. I'm the principal designer for global design at GE Healthcare, and I'm the lead designer for Adventure Series. The Adventure Series is really an activity that we've been working on to see what can we do around our diagnostic imaging equipment to make it friendlier for both the family and for young patients. We have large diagnostic imaging equipment at GE Healthcare. They're huge, and some of them make noises. Adventure Series is really looking at it really from the child's perspective, looking at where their anxiety points are and coming up with some really nice solutions that help those, whether those are visually taking over the room in a theme, like a jungle theme or a pirate adventure or something, as well as music that leads them into the room and coloring books. So we wanted to have elements that addressed all the anxiety points.
My name's Liz Auer.
I'm Duncan Auer.
Where is this? Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh. Well, we're here today for a CT scan of Duncan's sinuses. He's had some really chronic congestion and coughing. So we're going to have a look and see what's going on in there. And the pirate room was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. The room was painted completely like a pirate setup, including the floor. The floor was like the dock with the water on the sides, and animals and things on the walls. And the CT scanner itself was like the wheel of a pirate ship. It's for a child, it can be kind of scary. You see things that make noise and look very institutional, and this is, you're not even really thinking about the fact that you're doing a procedure. Very, very welcoming, very whimsical and fun.
Distraction starts out with a few items to try to catch the child's attention. But you need more than that. You have to have the buy-in from the staff, the physicians, from the nurses, the technologists, and even the families, so that when they come here and they see what we've done and how we've decorated the rooms, they feel as if they really are on an adventure, and they feel When they're having their scan, there's no need to be panicked or afraid. So that when they get up out of the scan and they leave, they're walking out that door with a positive feeling.
We really started rough with our ideas, and behind me you'll see some of the sketches that we came up with, just pencil and pen, getting our ideas down. And we thought from the beginning what a powerful thing it would be to have a cross-functional team that allowed us to look at this from many different filters. We brought in child life specialists. We worked with Fern Schupeck, director of the Children's Museum here in Milwaukee.
We're thrilled that GE approached us. We serve, 200,000 children and adults every year. I think they felt that they really could, be driven, their project could be driven in part by the expertise that we could offer in terms of how to meet the needs of children and families. As an adult who's gone through scary medical testing, I know it's just tremendous anxiety. The difference with children is that, our ability as adults to explain to them what they can expect. Children are creatures of habit. They really rely on their senses to understand their world. As an adult, I walk into a hospital and I say, oh, I hate that hospital smell. For a child, it's why doesn't it smell like my pajamas? Why doesn't it smell like my mom? Why doesn't it smell like our kitchen? This is the essence of the childhood experience. We need to be more focused on the needs of children and families, whether it is in the context of medical procedure or early childhood development as a foundation for doing better in school. So, and this is another area where I think the GE team was incredibly receptive to the message that we're carrying, which is as a community, and I mean that in sort of a global sense, as a community, we always need to be pushing the envelope in terms of what we can do to meet the needs of children and families and make their experience richer, more rewarding if we want better outcomes.
Why I really wrapped myself around this and tried my best to pull in some of the best people that I could to work with me is that I always kept in my mind that frightened child that was going through cancer or that was really having some problems going through their scan. That is such a tough thing for a little one. It's such a tough thing for a family. And I did put my heart and soul behind it. And it means a lot to me now that we have a solution and that the solution is helping the way it is. And it's helping these families. And what a great thing to work for a huge company like GE, but show some passion like this that we can do something for people.
Okay, so what do you think of this GE MRI video by do this? Anyone? You want to share your thoughts about this? Anyone? After you watch this, what do you think? Or any of you have watched this before? This GE MRI video? No? I'm not quite sure because I didn't have any response. Or you can type in the chat as well if you want to. All right. Never and hopefully, be on their shoes. Okay, sorry. I just click on chat. Which hospital is this? Okay. It becomes interesting process for kids. Yeah, okay. Kong say, Robin, is it? Yeah, wow, interesting. Thinking like how I can go out from this place. Okay, sorry. I didn't I didn't see the chat. Now I just start seeing the chat. Okay. Oh, so many. Okay, wow. Okay, thank you. I like the ideal shopping cart wheels and go sideways. Okay, thank you. Make us buy a lot of. Okay, that was the before that. No experience MRI. Okay, so which hospital? This is based in US hospital. It's a very interesting process for kids and be on their shoes, right? So I want to share about this, right? Talk about this, right? So because although he asked a question, because he is the industrial designer, he designed, the traditional MRI scanner. He said, because of asking the questions, how could one create a scanner experience that children would love? Change his mind, change his mindset, and then maybe someone not speaking, then you can mute. Or then he changed, right? And he used the design thinking the methods and work together and make it fun. So totally changed, right? So if if you're a children or not a children or we ourselves adult, we go to this, our focus is no longer on ourselves, I'm a patient, to go through MRI, the scanning, the machine gun, the fluorescent lights and all this. But you feel like your focus is, oh wow, you start to see the immersive environment was fun, pleasant. You totally forgot about that, the going through that experience because you in the dark, you're immersed. You don't just like in the cinema, the VR, then you want that kind of experience. So we change the experience, right? So that is where the outcome is desired and what in this case the patient's needs, and you change the entire pleasant experience, right? And I just want to give you one of these things that which I myself not don't talk about MRI. And how many of you been to GSC cinema that was a family oriented one for child like? And how many of you? Do you know there was a cinema like GSC that was child family oriented? How many of you been there? Or you bring your kids? Is anyone your kids? None? Okay. So if you have never, if your kids, right, I would really suggest you, okay, I think was the one last year, I brought my girl. My girl was 10 years old. So she said she was a Mario fan. She was Mario fan, right? So she said she already watched Mario 2 times, but then her school friend asking her, "Do you want to join me to watch?" I said, "Okay, you're only 10 years old. Of course, I'm the parents or I'm the guardian. I have to oversee you all there, to make sure you're all safe and nothing." So I bought the ticket, and actually I just want to buy something that was close by. But then the TGV was like all booked and all was okay. I said, okay, then I will go to a further place to go to GSC. But the timing, I have to fit. So I just buy the time for the time because I never been to cinema for 10 years. It was already, I don't really go there anymore, right? So then I said, okay, I went there. I was like, blow my mind was why? Because the cinema was very child oriented, family oriented. They got slides, they got they got seesaw, and then there were all the children outside also. They got the playground. They all have been fun, right? So then and interesting is they have different types of seat. They have couch, like the family couch. You can like family all sit close together. You got also got the couple seat type. You also can individual, so you can choose. And another one is the lighting is dim. So why? I remember I asked one of those participants, say what they say. They say, I didn't like that kind of cinema. I say, yeah, why? Because I went there with my boyfriend, right? Oh, then I say, okay, I fully understand because you want some privacy, right? But if you are the parents, you want to bring your young kids there, was different. Your interest is okay, children having fun, and at the same time, they watch the movie cartoon they like, and at the same time they can be there having fun, having the slides, inside the cinema, and and at the same time you want to make sure they are safe. That's the reason why there is environmental design in that sense with there's a light dim enough that for them to make sure they can also watch the children at the same time, but they also can enjoy, not too bright and all those. So all those experience, if they are targeting for family and children, so then you will like, because and I remember one thing is when I asked another feedback gathered from the license, they say, oh, yeah, they say even though the ticket, right, is expensive, it's a little bit expensive than normal other tickets for the same kind of cinema, but you are willing to buy for it because when your children are happy, you start to see your children happy, you as a parent, you will do what? You will do it because you will you were willing to do it another time, because that's where you see if you're a customer, you are willing to pay even a higher price because we like that pleasant experience, right? So this is just one example that is happening in Malaysia. And how many of you been to another one? I had another very good experience is airport. How many of you been to a very exciting and nice airport that you like the experience? Anyone? Have you heard about Singapore Changi Airport? Anyone been there? Anyone? I think some of you are, most of you are maybe staying in Johor, right? So if you've been to anyone, you can raise your hand or you can just type in the chat. because they say that if you go to the Singapore Changi Airport, wow, so many things to see, the experience, the very pleasant experience. So if you are in airline or you are the passenger, when you have this pleasant experience, right? So what would you do? So you will spread word of mouth. That is a free advertising or promotion already. And if you were to choose, if you are a long haul journey from, from the US or on when you stop over, you stop at KLIA or Singapore Airline, at Singapore Changi Airport. You have a different thoughts, right? So because of the pleasant experience. So what does it mean? So we have to start to think about from the user point of view. So in the design thinking process, the empathy, right? What the users really want, how would we provide a different kind of experience and what kind of solutions, then we will what the users desire, then they'll enjoy, and then they will like, and also they fulfill the functionality and the performance they want. Okay, so let's continue with this. Okay, let's go next. Okay, so I would like to say, things are not like roses on the bed, right? Even though we want to implement design thinking, there are always a lot of challenges. Okay, so those are the challenges that I will mention. First, very number one is no leadership buy-in. So a lot of time, I find that one thing is, it is easier if it's top down. What does it mean? So top down means if the leaders, okay, we acknowledge design thinking is important and all those, but the leaders may not have ideas how it works. Never mind, it's okay. So they will cascade down to the middle management. Okay, you go and get it. So then you must have someone you are trained or a champion that you want to make sure things are aligned, right? So when you have this thing, is because it comes with the stakeholders come together. So if you work in a silo organization structure, it's a little bit difficult because design thinking, like you see to two videos, right? A success product, right? It takes some time to even though you push even you are in a startup, you have the MVP, you also just work on a minimum viable products for your certain features, right? And even you are in also established company, like you say the GE, and you also work with together different type of stakeholders. So you cannot work silo. You have to collaborative. Like one of the design thinking criteria I mentioned is collaborations, right? With your different team members. And of course, with your culture resistant, right? You say we used to use different methods. Now we implement the other. Sorry, we cannot with that and we don't want. So what you can do is in a company, right? If you have a pet, if you're already having a current existing method, anything you want to implement new things, seriously, people will resist. Okay, this is human nature. So what you can do is if you have a pet products or pet projects, right? You can start with a small team. Let's say, hey, why don't we implement using this method first, right? Then we start the success, we start to see, and you don't feel like the pain from the company that where involve a lot of resources, involve a lot of what do you call involve resources and involve a lot of time and money, right? Because you start to implement a new thing. But if you have a pet project aside, so it works. Okay, I give you examples. When I was in Intel, apart from my daily job as a UX architect, right? So because Intel, they always encourage innovations. So we have this called design tournament. And a very funny thing is you have to go and find your team members, and it's best is actually the team members are coming from different background. So in my team, and then you do a competition, many rounds to pitch for the ideas to to those leaders, right? So and then one of these things is I have in my team, I got software engineers, and then I got my UX writers, me myself as UX architect, and then we work together. But they want a few, and then they have the other team, they have different background. So we propose this, and then we do a pitching and all those things, why our ideas innovative and all those things. And if you come to the ranking to the top 3, we call it the Shark Tank, right? So the leaders, they was pump in the money from the business unit. Okay, we give you time, you go and implement this. Okay, so they will give you because you pitch and then you say how it works and all those things. So you don't feel the pain if your current business, the product, right, is you have to still work on it, whatever. You cannot shake the whole things if you are already solid, right? So you, at the same time, you want to implement this. This is my suggestion. This is what you can do with it is your pet project and then all those things, you know, it's like as along. It's sometimes when you start to show some kind of success, then you go and show to your, you know, not necessarily must be your company leader buy it if they have no idea what is it you about. Then you show to your project to your company leaders, hey, how things were all those. They start to see something is working. Oh, they start to wanted to learn more about and explore more. That's how you can implement, you know, how design thinking from this project and then for another projects also. Of course, when you have time resource constraints, how do you manage, right? And like I say, especially coming to the dollar and cents, I mentioned that I already roughly mentioned about the time and alignment with the existing process. I also share with you the process and how you, so that we can have the risk aversion. And once you have the small projects that are successful, right, then you can scale across the whole organization. People want to see more. And also things that take a lot of times is long-term commitment. If you don't have, then projects cannot see something that materialize, right? And lack of client involvement means lack of users or involvement. A lot of things, when anything that is client which means users oriented, the data you are backed by this, right? Whatever you say you want, it changes and all those things is even more convincing. And very important, I want to mention is measuring success. Design thinking, if you come together and especially you have, because in leaders, right, especially the management, they want to see facts and figures. Seriously, what does it mean is, yeah, you can implement whatever. Tell us what are the improvement, what are the success. For example, if you do this, for example, right, after this you do a testing to evaluation, you gather this, how will that impact our customer satisfaction? Will our CSAT score improve? Will we reduce our time development frame? So before and after you capture, if let's say today I'm working for the e-commerce company, what is the conversion rate? What if the changes are done because you say you need to take some time to go to the field, to listen, you know, to do some interview, to get the feedback from the users, right? In the past, we don't need to, we just implement whatever. But if you say, okay, you fine, we do a little bit, get some user feedback, come in, then you measure how's the conversion rate during when you implement this a certain period of time. Does it help? Before was what percent? And now is it increased how many percent? Okay, we want to target, before that you may have a goal. You want to target 5% increase, for example, because previous week was really dropped until 30%. You cannot be improved suddenly change over to 30%, right? Unless there was a drastic change. Okay, so what you can do is you measure that the success by implementing design thinking in one of the phase. Correct. Yeah, maybe the admin can help me to mute those who are not speaking, right? Then you then the leaders will buy in. Okay, so those kind of few things that I want to share about challenges. If how can we find ways to, you know, to improve it the better if you wanted to implement the design thinking in the process. Okay, this is my last slide, and the very important thing for the key takeaway is it is a long-term benefits for implementing design thinking. Like I mentioned, you see, so all the big company, like the branding, the beginning that I mentioned, how would they do is the long-term things, right? And it's a holistic approach for problem solving and innovations, especially using the human-centric approach. And definitely, in the long run, is you have the customer retention, customer loyalty, and of course, especially when the customer, the users are satisfied, you know, what you listen to them, you implement, and then how we take in and all those things. And very important in the product team, you don't make a light decision because of you want to do changes, but you do the changes because you are data driven, right? And of course, it help the innovation creating the long term. And because I say it is a collaborations, right, effort among the product team, it's not a silo, then it definitely will help a lot of agreements, communications among all the team members, right, in the long run by implementing design thinking. Okay, that's from me for 1.5 hours, right? So you have any questions or anything, you're welcome to ask and all things. I'll give back the time to Cyberport for this to coordinate. Yeah. How long is the session? Is it 1.5 hours or 2 hours? Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Hi everyone, I have a question here.
Yes, Farhan. Yeah.
Okay. So as we recall during the first video, there are a lot of team members. I would say brainstorming, right? To do the design thinking. So in my situation, as I told you before, I am working in a startup. So the design thinking process, we can afford to have to spend so much time for design thinking. So actually, because we are very limited in our sources, so we try to optimize everything. So what we do now is we kind of we do implement this kind of thinking, which is we code fast and then we ship fast. So and then we also accepted the fact that whatever we code right now may not definitely will not be relevant in 2 or 3 years after this. So that's why we decided not to think, I would say, think just optimally during the first start, and just ship the code and everything. So do you have any tips for me?
Okay. Okay, Farhan, before I say this, right, can I know your startup company is how many people and what are their skill set? What are
Okay.
real role skill set are? That is
Okay,
easier for me
so
to understand.
we are, I would say, we are an IoT, Internet of Things company. Okay, so we produce a lot of things that communicate using our app and also hardware. So, for example, I would say here, we have a hardware that can be controlled by a mobile apps. So what happened is, if we spend too much time designing the apps, I think the implementation will not be focused anymore. So what we do is we try to make several versions. I would say, for example, we make a version 1, version 2, version 3, and I think it will be renewed, upgraded so many times. So I would like to know, is this what are we? Are we doing correctly? Because yeah. Do you have
Okay.
any experience of handling things like this?
Yes. Okay. So your company mainly a tech team. Can I see all are technical
Yeah.
people?
Yes.
Okay. So you have to work with, do you have a partners company that work with, they understand, they need your solution.
Yes. Our partner company is our hardware provider, I would say, our suppliers, and also we have some mentors from our clients also lah.
Oh, okay, okay. So if you are a technical company, so then you just purely work on technical. Design thinking is you want a solution that you are addressing your customer needs. So in this case, right? So for example, I was thinking like this. Let's say your partner company is, let's say today you are working in IoT, you are working, a company is a plantation. Examples lah, okay? So the plantation say, hey, we need a technical company because we are plantation ma, right? Plantation company. We wanted to IoT, those IoT or drone they come to my plantations and then and look after my plantation. Okay, they will know what are their problems are. If you work with another partnership, also hardware, they of course tell you hardware things lah, technical things, right? So when you design, you can only provide technical solution because that's your best, because yours is your technical specialty. How design thinking come in is, let's say if your company you want to grow big, right? So your solution, you must address what your business partner, your business company, they want. Then you listen, okay, let's say today I'm an ABC plantation company, but I lack of resources. I want IT technology to come out, help me. Then you ask them. Then you need to understand what they need. That is where you start to work together because you inside you may not implement design thinking, but you work together with them to understand them. You already start working in design thinking because your clients, in this case, your customers is like in this case, I share screen, right? So you will start to need to understand and empathize what are their problems they are facing. Who are they are say, okay, we are they are plantation company, but they are farmers, all those things. They are no, they cannot use. How can you technology help us? You work with them. I don't know whether I answer your questions or not, Farhan.
Okay, just to conclude, just to verify my understanding. So I would say your suggestion is to involve our clients and our partners in the design thinking process, not just our internal team.
Yes,
Correct.
yes, it's because your team are technical skill, right?
Okay.
Even you can have external consultant, right? Even I don't know how you get, but I do consultancy lah, right? If it is, if let's say you have the partner company, but I don't know what to do, right? Is you need someone to bridge in between, your because let's say for example the ABC plantation company, hey, I want you this, okay, but how do you know their customer needs, and they themselves also may not know to that level. They are farmers. Let's say, for example, I just give a hypothetical understand. They are farmers. They are anyone, okay, that they use, right? But they say, okay, we want our plantation to solve this issue, but our customers are farmers, for example. But they want you technical company to come up with the solution. So if you just come out this thing, that's why you will continue iterative do, but you don't know what you're doing. I won't say you don't know what you're doing lah. You are doing it like from what technical people telling you or technical your partners telling you what you do, but do they really know? Do you design for what the farmers want? For the plantations, what they really want to solve that problem. If you manage to do that seriously, you are save a lot of time. You know what your direction you are. I don't know whether I answer you or not, Farhan, but you get what
I think it's a good suggestion. I will try to implement it. Thank you so much, Miss.
Yeah, thanks, Farhan. Yeah, great. Yeah, hopefully you get something of it. So, anyone, any questions you want to ask?
I have a question.
Yes.
You hear my voice?
Yes, yes. Can I know who is speaking? Because I can't really see that.
Atika from Haiza Fashion. We do custom-made tailoring for customer. Okay, so on the last slide that you have shared, okay, you say that lack of client involvement. Can you please explain a bit more about this, and how can we create or design in design thinking? We want to include client involvement. How can we improve this?
Okay. So when I say client involvement, right, it's also involve customer. We mean the end user involvement. Okay. So sorry, I need to to revise this a little bit on this term. So client, if you, like let's say you have a client, right? So I give you examples like what just now Farhan was asking the questions, right? So in this case, if you work with your client, let's say I give you the examples because I don't know your comment. Let's say the plantation. Plantation is a client already, but they are not you're not designing for the user. The user, let's say, is a farmer. So you involve them, you understand them. That's where the first phase of the empathy, you understand. So you will design, understand their pain point, then you will propose solution accordingly. But you already have a very strong, solutions or technical skill or whatever thing you have for product, but you must customize to what they need. I don't know, Atika, maybe you want to share a bit what kind of business or your company are doing that your client is what that I don't know whether I answer your questions or not. Okay.
I understand what you say. So I have to know what my customer's pain point, and then we have to create something that can give them the satisfaction feeling. Yeah. Is it correct?
Yes. First, yes. But do you know your customers, your customers, the pain point?
I know, but I don't have done any survey for my customers, so that's why I'm asking about the involvement of my client.
Okay. So sometimes it's like this. Usually the client, right, is yes, Atika, can you please continue? Sorry, I interrupt you.
To be with my customer, I need to ask them first, and then can I know how can I improve in design thinking? Thank you.
Okay,
answer my
that's
question.
great. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, any more questions? Yeah. Any more? you can always if you for design thinking, if you are implementing, like I mentioned very beginning, if it's good you've gone through the whole process, right? So if you're not necessarily, even like you say, the situation is, there's many condition situation how you implement designing, because it's not a straightforward must be internal, right? So it's just like I appreciate like what Farhan and Atika was sharing, is how and which approach we come in, and how will you work together, and even sometimes not necessarily you from the A to Z, right, for the all phases. It can be start from coming from this stage, it can be come from different, but that's why I need to listen to understand a bit further your common situations, and how can we implement this. And sometimes maybe you will just use that certain part, some part of it to get yeah for you just will a certain phase, want a certain part of the methods that you use, then how will you come to integrate your process? Okay, so any more questions? If not, that I will pass the sessions back to Cyberport. Yeah.
Doctor, I think there's one question in the meeting chat.
Oh, is there? I didn't see it.
From Nur Mahani.
Sorry, I didn't see it. What's the wait? What happened to my slide? Maybe I just stop sharing this. I don't see any question. I only see Changi Airport looks amazing, even though I haven't been there. The last one.
Okay, okay, maybe I can read the question for you. Okay. Can you okay, this question is from Nur Mahani. Can you review the design thinking process that I have used in my teaching process with students?
The question can
She's
can
a
I
tutor or lecturer.
Okay. Can I review? Is it?
Yeah.
Or can I review the design thinking
process?
Okay. Let me share the slide again, because it is this how is it? Okay. No, what's the name again? Norma. No. Okay, so can I Mahani, right? Okay. Wait, I don't know why it doesn't show the chat. Okay, never mind. So you can see my share screen, am I right? Now I can see already. I think my screen was jammed. Oh, okay, Yang Zai. Okay, so definitely pulling up one same up process design thinking after last I gunakan. So then you have to share with me your design thinking process, right, Mahani? Because your question is you ask me to check your design thinking process, or you ask me whether we can how to say, is that Mahani? Is that you want me to check your process, or you want me to say can you customize or change? Is that what your question is, Mahani? I want to I nak tahu apa you boleh one same up process design. Can I understand a bit further? Mahani, are you there? Are you there, Mahani? Can anyone help me? What does it can you, what is it? If you say you want the process of design thinking, I would say, for example, this, right? Can you see my share screen? You see my share screen? Am I sharing screen? Oh, no. So
no, doctor, there's no sharing screen.
Okay. Now
It's appearing.
Okay. So now you look at this, right? So design thinking is empathy, define, idea, prototype, test. But down here, to be honest, there's no method being shown actually, most of those days. But here are people adding on it, usually, especially integrating user experience design method. So if you ask me, can. If you ask me during idea, is this the only brainstorm sessions? There are tons of brainstorm sessions, brainstorm methods and use. You can use wall clue, you can use crazy egg, you can use a lot of others, you can use six thinking hat. Is that a fix? No, but you must understand at this stage what is the intention or purpose of that. If yours is brainstorm solutions, what are the methods that can use? What are the things that you can use? And in conditions like this, Is that all method you use? No. What were the best? You need to listen, you need to understand the context, what the situation that you use, right? Then you will implement what will be the best of that scenario in the context. So you say, but the intention that I mentioned, the whole thing, key elements for design thinking is like this. You must have empathy, you understand from the user, you can from iterative process, user-centric, right? And cross-functional is the best, right? So for example, empathy, are you going to do all those? No, you're not going to do all those, right? But you are use the best method in your company and in your situation. What would be the best way? Some people say, you do survey. Is it only survey? No. Sometimes user interview also good enough. Because, and some people say, hey, if let's say, I just use the example, if your is a plantation company, farmers, you ask the farmers to fill out survey, I'm sorry, they tell you go, you go somewhere else, farmers. But if you interview them, maybe the best. Sometimes not listen interview, you just call, encik, pakcik, boleh tak saya sembang saja. So you go there, you do together, you co-join participatory design, you go together, groundwork, work together, you do observation, you understand the workflow, how they do, then you understand how being a farmer, and we can call it as using ethnographical method. Then you understand the process, their pain point, their frustration, what they like, they don't like, you already get the data. Not necessarily everything must be surveyed. Okay, I just give you examples lah. Okay, so I mean, just these are all examples. It depends again. You have to study, you have to a little bit know your scenario and who are you designing for, and your company, what are you doing, and also the resources. I hope I answer. This is your answer. Okay, is it okay, Mahani and the rest? Okay, I pass the sessions to Cyberplot.